Why stillness builds strength. She stood in the doorway of the gym, staring at the weights like they were old enemies. Her reflection looked tired, not from working out, but from not starting. Most mornings felt like this. The intention was there, fierce and burning at 6 a.m., but by the time her feet hit the floor, something always pulled her back. Not laziness, something quieter, something that felt like doubt wearing the mask of reason. She thought strength meant motion, reps and sweat and the burn that proved you showed up, but every time she pushed harder, her body seemed to push back with injuries, exhaustion, or that hollow feeling that comes when effort stops making sense. What she didn't know yet was that she'd been chasing the wrong kind of power. Strength, real strength, doesn't always look like movement. Sometimes it grows in the pauses between breaths, in the moments when your body learns to hold itself without collapsing. It's not about how much you can lift. It's about how long you can stay present in the discomfort without needing to escape it. But that realization was still weeks away. For now she was stuck in the same loop most of us know too well. Start strong, burn out, restart. The cycle felt inevitable, like gravity. She wanted results, but more than that, she wanted to feel capable again. To trust her body instead of fighting it. Then one afternoon, scrolling through her phone between meetings, she saw something that stopped her mid-swipe. A video of someone holding a plank. Not for 10 seconds, but for minutes. No strain on their face, no shaking, just stillness. Like they'd found some secret frequency the rest of us were missing. She thought it was fake at first, or genetics, or some influencer trick designed to make normal people feel inadequate, but something about it stayed with her. That night, she tried it. Just her, the living room floor, and a timer set for 30 seconds. She dropped at 12. Her core screamed. Her arms gave out. Her breath came in gasps that felt more like panic than effort. She laughed, not because it was funny, but because she finally understood how weak she'd become in all the ways that mattered. Researchers at the University of Copenhagen found something fascinating about isometric exercises, movements where you hold a position without changing muscle length. When you hold a plank, a wall sit, or even a static stretch, your muscles don't just work. They learn. They adapt to tension in ways that dynamic movement can't replicate. The body starts building what scientists call time under tension endurance. It's not about explosive power. It's about teaching your nervous system to stay calm under load, to distribute effort evenly, to stop compensating with the wrong muscles just to get through the motion. But more than that, stillness exposes the truth. When you're moving, you can hide. You can use momentum, cheat the form, let adrenaline carry you through the hard parts. But when you're still, there's nowhere to go. Every imbalance, every weakness, every place you've been avoiding, it all rises to the surface. She hated it at first. Every morning she'd set the timer and drop into position, and every morning her mind would start screaming at her to stop, not because of pain, but because stillness felt like failure, like she wasn't doing enough, like real athletes were out there running miles while she was just holding herself up. But she kept going, not because she believed it would work, because she didn't know what else to try. Somewhere around week 2, something shifted. She held the plank for 45 seconds, then a minute, then 90 seconds without feeling like her arms would buckle. Her core didn't burn the way it used to. It just engaged, steady and strong, like it had been waiting for her to stop forcing it. And then she noticed something strange. Her posture changed. She stopped slouching at her desk. Her lower back, which had ached for years, started to quiet down. She felt taller, not because she'd grown, but because her body finally remembered how to hold itself. It wasn't dramatic. There were no before and after photos that would break the internet. But she felt different, like she'd unlocked a kind of confidence that didn't need external validation. What surprised her most wasn't just the physical change, it was the mental one. Holding stillness taught her patience. It taught her that progress doesn't always feel like progress, that sometimes the hardest thing you can do is nothing. Just stay, breathe, and trust the process even when your brain is begging you to quit. Neuroscientists at Stanford have studied this phenomenon. When you practice sustained stillness, your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for decision-making and emotional regulation, starts to strengthen. You're literally training your mind to tolerate discomfort without reacting, to stay present instead of fleeing into distraction. It's the same skill that helps people meditate, resist cravings, or stay calm under pressure. Except you're building it through your body, not just your thoughts. She started applying it everywhere. When her boss sent a stressful email, she didn't spiral. She paused, breathed, and responded with clarity. When her kids fought over the remote, she didn't yell. She held the tension, let it pass, and found a solution that didn't require her to lose control. Stillness wasn't just changing her workouts, it was changing her life. But here's the part most people miss. Stillness isn't passive. It's not relaxation. It's active restraint. It's your body working at full capacity to maintain alignment, balance, and control while your mind tries to convince you to give up. That's why it's so hard, and that's why it works. When you hold a wall sit, your quads are firing constantly to keep your knees from collapsing. When you hold a dead hang, your grip, shoulders, and core are all working together to keep you stable. There's no rest, just focused, intentional effort disguised as doing nothing. She realized that most of her life had been spent in motion, chasing the next thing, the next goal, the next version of herself. But she'd never stopped long enough to ask if she was even moving in the right direction. Stillness gave her that space. One morning, about a month in, she held a 3-minute plank without thinking about the timer. Her mind was quiet. Her breath was steady, and when she stood up, she felt something she hadn't felt in years. Peace. Not the kind you find on vacation or after a glass of wine. The kind that comes from knowing you can hold yourself together when everything inside you wants to fall apart. She thought about all the years she'd spent looking for strength in the wrong places. In the scale, in the mirror, in the compliments from strangers. But strength was never out there. It was always here, in the space between wanting to quit and choosing to stay. What surprised me most wasn't just how resistance bands improved my experience with building foundational strength, but how everything started to feel different once I switched to the right method. I wasn't expecting such a clear change, and honestly, I tested it more than a few times before I figured out what really worked. This isn't a promotion, just sharing real results that made a noticeable difference for me. I'll leave the link below if you want to explore what I mean. But back to her story. By month 3, she wasn't just holding positions anymore. She was using stillness as a tool. Before big meetings, she'd do a 2-minute wall sit to ground herself. After long days, she'd hang from a pull-up bar and let her spine decompress. When anxiety crept in, she'd drop into a deep squat and just breathe until the feeling passed. Her friends started asking what changed. She looked different, not thinner, not more muscular, but more solid, like she'd found her center and built a life around it. She tried to explain it, but the words always fell short. How do you tell someone that doing less taught you more than doing everything ever did? One evening, she was watching her daughter struggle with homework, on the verge of tears because she couldn't solve a math problem, and without thinking, she said, "Sometimes the answer comes when you stop trying so hard. Just sit with it. Let your brain catch up." Her daughter looked at her like she was speaking another language, but she tried it, took a breath, stared at the problem without forcing it. And then, quietly, she figured it out. That's when it hit her. Stillness isn't just a workout. It's a way of being. It's how you stop reacting to life and start responding to it, how you stop chasing strength and start embodying it. She thought back to that first day in the gym, staring at her reflection, feeling defeated before she even started. If she could go back and tell herself one thing, it would be this. Strength isn't about how much you can do. It's about how much you can hold without breaking, and sometimes the bravest thing you can do is stay exactly where you are and trust that you're enough. When she looked in the mirror again, it wasn't her reflection that had changed, it was what she believed about herself. She wasn't stronger because she lifted heavier. She was stronger because she'd learned to carry herself with intention, with patience, with the kind of quiet power that doesn't need to prove anything to anyone. And that's the kind of strength that lasts. Tell us what part of this story resonated most and where you're watching from. See you in the next video. Bye.